Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from A Spiritual Ascension. So, as you can see, the title is called Losing My Religion. And I know in several of the other videos I've done, I've kind of touched on, how I left religion and, became spiritual. Um, and everyone has their own stories of, how you're kind of I know I want to do another video on what I call the levels of spirituality because I believe that when you fully know the divine and have gone through or going through your ascension, um, and again, everyone may not agree with me, but I have been through it, so I kind of know um, that if you are on this journey, you are going to see the difference between religion and spirituality. When I had my first awakening back in 2012, and I started kind of reading so many different things about spirituality. And one of the main things that I noticed was I'm trying to say, here is one book, the Bible, but there's all these religions that are based on that book, which doesn't make any sense to me because if there's one book, everyone should be in agreement with that one book. But when I started reading different authors, different books by different authors on spirituality, I mean, authors that had nothing to do with one another. And all these books were different in form, written differently, but they were all saying the same thing. And that just kind of boggled my mind. Um, I also kind of came up with this saying that religion teaches you to be a good person, whereas spirituality makes you want to be a good person. Okay. It's that you want to do good for others. You want to make yourself better. You do the work on yourself. You do your shadow work and you're losing your ego so that you can be a better person, a good person. And you want that for yourself and for those around you. You also want good relationships, right? Whereas I think that with religion, we kind of hold on to what's old. Okay. I know probably I might get some comments on that, but that's okay. To each his own, and I welcome anything that you want to express. I was brought up in a religion that was very strict, very confining, and not to my mid 20s that my eyes start to kind of be open, and not so much that I no longer agreed with the religion itself, but more so the organization of how it was run. And I just started to notice things over time. So it's not that I had given up on the religion, but I had given up attending the weekly, 3 times a week um, meetings that they had. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know. So in that way, my family, my sisters especially, it's kind of said that if someone leaves the religion, you should shun them because that makes them feel bad and makes them want to come back because you're no longer wanting to have anything to do with them. So that's kind of what my sisters did to me, to no longer have any social contact with me. So I had young children that they would come and take from me for visits, but they would not include me in those visits. So yes, it was extremely hurtful because, my family was close, when we were younger. And, um, but I accepted it because I did not want to go back to the religion. And again, I kept the beliefs, but I didn't want to go back and be a part of the daily routine. Still kind of praying the way I was taught to pray and believing the way I was taught to believe. And not till 2012 did I have my first awakening when I started to actually do some research on that religion and kind of come to the conclusion that it is a cult. And um, it kind of just blew my mind of some of the things that I was finding out. And I think I had said in another video, and hopefully I'm not, stepping on anyone's toes here or hurting anyone, but the feeling I had was when um, if you're adopted and you believe that the parents that you were, raised with are your parents. And then one day you're told that, we're not your parents. And your whole like world just kind of turns. And it's kind of like this awakening. Well, who am I then? Like, who do I belong to? Where, like all these years I believed a certain thing, but it wasn't true. And that's the best example I can come up with that really um, heavy feeling of I don't know who I am because what I believe to be true is not true. So now I'm having this battle of trying to figure out what do I believe and really want to through this series of kind of um, some like deep dark days and I guess the onset of a dark night of the soul. um, then I said, like, is there a God? Am I atheist? Questions like that. Well, what other religions are there out there that may coincide with, or maybe something better for me? And I thought about attending different churches and seeking out, what was a fit. And I said, I cannot believe in God because there's too much evidence to say that there is something that created all that is. This cannot have just happened. Um, so now just kind of really um, starting to dig and do, and I think I did a video on research. Like that's all I did for many years was just read and read and read. And that's, like I said, coming to that conclusion that there's all these different authors who are all saying the same thing about spirituality. And I went on to study metaphysics and then was opened up to my psychic abilities and a whole world opened up for me to understand that there is life after this human life, that we continue on, that we never actually die. We lose our flesh from this lifetime, but we never lose our soul. It continues on. That's why we're especially as old souls, which I predict that you probably are if you're watching this and have an interest in the ascension journey, that you realize that you have so much wisdom from past lifetimes. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing, when you really let go of the religious aspect of things that we've been taught that, just don't go along, with our direct, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Our direct connection with the divine. Like we need no middleman. Like anytime we want to have a connection with the divine, like we can, that's how we manifest. Like we don't need someone to go to say, can you pray for me? Or anything like that. I understand the social aspects. A lot of people, I think, do are a part of religion for the social part of it, and but I think when you're on this journey, also that you understand that being alone and understanding the language that divine will have on with you on a personal basis is much more important than the social aspects that you have with other humans in a religion. Okay, I'm gonna ramble on, so I'm gonna leave it there, but I'll probably touch on this in another video. And I hope to see you next time. If you please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to talk further with me on this, you can book time with me. There's a link below. Also, I've done several courses on the Ascension journey, and that link is also below. And I'll see you next time.